Hey everyone, this is an overview and demo of this PDF to QBO converter software that I made. I made this because my wife is a bookkeeper and I saw what she was paying for a subscription for this simple tool, and I thought I could make something like that, so here it is. Let's go over this really quick. Okay, first thing to know is when you get the download and extract the file, there will be a README file in there, a text file. Open that, has all basic gist of what the software does. It has installation instructions for OS X or for Windows if you're using that. So I definitely recommend you looking that over before you start using it. Also, once you launch the application, there's this helper file, and this goes over the whole workflow, what the app does, typical workflow, how it handles different imports from PDFs, how it handles CSV imports, classification rules, duplicate rows and statement artifacts, just some things to know. Validation warnings, how that all works, what it needs for statement end dates down here, PDF requirements, and export behavior. And I just want to be clear too, this is for digital text-based PDFs and CSVs. Scanned and image-based PDFs are not currently supported. If your PDF is scanned, however, there is ways to get around this. You could use Adobe Acrobat, which has a free trial, which I have found works very well. They have a OCR, this PDF. It should automatically scan it and recognize that when you pull it in. And then there's also Google Drive OCR, but I have found that takes a little bit of format tweaking. But so if this is a digital statement that you downloaded direct from the bank, it will work perfectly. So let's do a quick walkthrough here so I can show you how this all works. Some things I changed from the last version. This is an updated video. I added credit card support, which just changes the terminology to make it easier for you to classify, and also switches how the math is calculated on the back end, where you're looking at the previous balance and new balance rather than the beginning balance and ending balance. It just had to deal with calculations in a different way. So that is actually a really nice feature that we added. Yes, as I mentioned just before, the date is extracted from here now. You just hard code it in. There's no guessing from the statement, which I think clears up a lot of issues. Another request that I had from various people was some support for a QIF export for people who used legacy software like Microsoft Money or older Quicken apps. So we added that feature in as an option. First, I'll just pull up this statement so you can see how it looks when you pull in. This is a dummy statement, so there's no personal information in here that I need to worry about. All these columns here you can edit, and that's just more for giving people more flexibility as this grows. I think it was a good needed feature. Another thing before I go and do an actual statement, these headers that are here, these get imported directly from the statement. These are never included in the export. They're always ignored by default, so you don't have to worry about those. But I put these in, so sometimes statements will have multiple accounts, and I'll do one of those later in the video. But just know that that is just to give you a visual representation of possible different accounts within the same statement. So I'm going to go through an official statement here and categorize it. This will be blurred out because it has personal information in it that I don't want people to see. But we will just go through and start to do this, and I will show you how quick you can go through. Let's see, you do suggested withdrawals. This will give you all the things that the software flagged as a possible withdrawal. Mark as withdrawal. Suggested deposits, you're going to come in here, mark as deposit. Next you want to do is check unclassified, because it'll flag it. You won't be able to export if there's still unclassified items. So these I know are deposits. Sometimes you'll have to cross-reference your actual statement if there's ones that didn't get flagged correctly. So that is one thing you'll have to do, but usually it doesn't take you that long. I know these are withdrawals. I know that's a deposit. This is the just standing balance. You can ignore that. Ignore this one. Statement end date is, and boom, see, it shows balanced there. And that is just how you verify that you have all the correct transactions in there. If this was off by 70 cents, it would give me a little error here. But just so you know that is then how I can export. I'll click this just so we can see it. Also export QIF. That's the next phase that you have to do is just hit export files, pick the folder you want it to, hit save, and this will give you a little confirmation that a CSV, a QBO, and a QIF was saved, and it just is a little tip to just check it before you import it into QuickBooks. Another note is if you imported a CSV rather than a PDF, it will only export a QBO and a QIF if you had the QIF selected. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You can do things like sort amount. You can search for description, say fee. So yes, and this is meant to be a human in the middle. It's not meant to be a black box. You're in charge of how things get categorized here and for what you want to export and not. So another thing to note, so you understand, the signed preview is a representation of anything that will be exported. It shows up in the signed preview. If it's ignored, it does not show up in the signed preview. So say you only wanted to export these top few transactions, you could just click down here. Say you just wanted those two right there. You would just click down here, ignore all of these, all the signed previews disappear here, and now you just have what would be exported. Okay, so let's say you had a statement that had multiple accounts. So this is an example of how you would use this. See, these account, this is down here, this is, ignore these, this is from another account. This up here is from a business account, so we're gonna ignore those and we're only gonna focus on this one. Show suggested withdrawals. These are all withdrawals. Show suggested deposits. Mark as deposit. These are duplicates. This one is actually a deposit, but this is balance forward, balance ending. We can add that. These are duplicates here. These Q14. So this, the application pulls everything that any numbers that it can find off the statement. So every now and then you will find duplicates like this. Like this 579.98 is already included up here as a draft check, and you can also see that by sorting the amount. See? So you would just go through and ignore those. Anything down here, all this down here just needs to be ignored. Okay, so after those are all in there, we're going to go in. I already did this. We're going to copy the statement end date. We're going to put the beginning and ending balance in. This should balance out. Again, if you delete a couple numbers, you're going to get these warnings here that you're off by a certain amount. And another thing you need to know is that this statement end date needs to be accurate, because if there's discrepancies in the date that's in the statement and what you put here, the QBO will fail in QuickBooks. So this is a very important piece. So export files, let's go QBO exports, save. Okay, boom, they're saved there. Okay, so here we are in QuickBooks. We're gonna upload that file that we just exported into this test account. This is it right here. Open this, upload successful. We're going to go to our test account. We're going to continue. Done. All the transactions will show up. Every now and then I notice with QuickBooks, when you upload these files, you have to do a refresh. This is not anything to do with my software. It's a QuickBooks thing. So if you ever pull in these and you're like, hey, there should be more transactions, just refresh it and they should all show up. So then there you go. This is all of them that's in there. Okay, so let's swap this over to a credit card here so you can see the difference. I uploaded this credit card statement. Terminology changes. I already entered the statement end date, previous balance, and new balance. We'll go through. This is a duplicate here, so we will ignore these. Suggested purchase. That's mark as purchase. Suggested payments. These are purchase. Still have unclassified. This is mark as payment. Now we're balanced. Boom. I'll do a QIF just so we have it there. Export files. Okay, and that would be a credit card statement handled. Now let's go through and make sure that credit card uploads correctly into QuickBooks. Successful. Test account. Continue. Continue. And boom, spent, payments, all the transactions show up. Hopefully that answers any questions you had, and I really hope this software is useful to you. Let me know of any suggestions, issues that you have. This is version 1. I plan on updating this as I go. I'm looking for some feedback from users out there, so feel free to drop me a line. And I even said this in the sales page. If there's any statement that you come across where it has an issue, it'd be great if you reach out to me and let me know. I do the rules based on whatever statements I can get, and there's a lot of different banks out there. I've tested with a bunch of various formats, but it's always good to find new cases that I can tweak the software to make it work. So feel free to reach out. I hope this helps you, and have a good one.